Hi, what does it mean that prayer works? Think about that for a moment. Most of the time, we understand it this way, that prayer is efficacious. When we are in over our heads and things get out of hand, we are driven to our knees. And this is where prayer comes in. You see, we understand that prayer moves the hand of God to do the things our hands cannot do. Prayer makes our work effective. And so we say, yeah, prayer works. But my point is this: whoever prays must also work. Nehemiah was the Bible's model of a leader and a man of prayer. In a nutshell, God allowed him to see the problem, the pitiful condition of Jerusalem and its broken down walls. And he developed a burden. That is, he became greatly concerned for Jerusalem's vulnerability and loss of dignity among the nations. In chapter 1 verse 4, he sat down and wept. But more than that, in verse 5, he mourned, he fasted and prayed. Now it was a big problem to solve, and there were so many question marks in the road ahead. What to do, how to do, and where to get resources, etc. Nehemiah's head must have been left spinning. But as the Lord's favor was granted, the king noticed Nehemiah's grief for the pitiful state of Jerusalem. In chapter 2, verse 4 and 5, the king said to Nehemiah, who was his cupbearer, "What is it you want?" Nehemiah prayed again to the God of heaven, and then he answered the king. And this is what he said. He said, "Send me to the city of Jerusalem where my fathers are buried, so that I can rebuild it." As the model of a man of prayer, Nehemiah demonstrated to us that he who prays must also work. Yes, Nehemiah saw a big problem. He prayed about it, and then he got down to work. Jokang. Let's unpack the lesson. He who prays must work. Now the promises of prayer, whatever you ask and you will receive, are repeated 6 times in John chapters 14, 15 and 16. Now in order to understand these seemingly unlimited promises properly, they must not be removed from its context, that of doing the work of God. You serving God and not God serving you. To put it another way, it is for the power to work that prayer holds such great promises. Maybe you're a little disappointed because it's dawning on you that your dream car, the one that you're praying for, isn't quite on the cards. But on the other hand, as you give yourself to the work of God, these great promises are exactly what you need to renew you with confidence and courage, because you are appointed for His works, and Jesus has gone to the Father to get power to do them in and through you. Can you see how God's power and His work are now coming into alignment? He who prays must work. If we don't work, all that power harnessed through prayer doesn't get released. Simply put, it will be such a waste. As it were, His powerful solutions will be bottled up. But only give yourself to the work of God, and you shall begin to see the wonderful answers to prayer and the release of His power. You know, it's a mystery that God would choose to involve us as His partners. Yeah, even when He is working a miracle. You remember the time when Philip asked Jesus how they were going to feed 5,000 people? Well, Jesus said, "You give them something to eat." He said, "Go and see. How many loaves do you have?" Esther tried to dodge her responsibilities, but was reminded, "And who knows but that you, yes, you have come to royal position for such a time as this." Friends, the mystery of God choosing to demonstrate His power through earthen vessels like us, this is a burden we carry. So he who prays must work. In conclusion, brothers and sisters, when God allows you to see a problem, it's for us to be a part of His solution. Like Nehemiah, the disciples, Esther. There are 3 reasons for apathy in our lives. We don't know what to do, we don't know what our actions will lead to, and basically, we don't want to do more work. That is the habit of hesitancy, where we see red lights everywhere instead of possibilities. The promises of prayer are meant to make us see green lights instead of red ones, so that we will engage in God's work. Friends, what burden has God put in your heart today? Are there many question marks? Then we must pray, and pray, and pray. Any truly divine work needs the hand of God. But having done so, let us also get to work, courageously, confidently. When God's work is aligned with God's power, the lights are green. He who prays must work. Come, Jokang.